One of the worst moments ever.
Which was horrifying because I
couldn't breathe.
I got an audition call via message. I don't remember what was it for exactly, but it had something to do with sports. And I read, for those who like sport activities, who are fun, and who are, feel relaxed in front of the camera. I was like, okay, done. It's all about me, so I'm gonna go and try. And I didn't read carefully all the guidelines and all the, descriptions for the part. So I went there, and there were like 3 people sitting in front of me, and they gave me an iPod. I was like, okay, so they want me to watch something. And they set up the camera in front of me, and they were like, okay, go on. And I'm like, so what do you want to do? What do you want me to do? And they told me that I had to comment on a football game happening like in front of me on iPad, and I had to comment on it like those commentators on TV. And I knew nothing, in terms of football jargon, terms. I didn't know what to do. The only terms that I knew, words like a ball, kick, left, right, pass. So I was there on the spot. The camera was rolling. People were like, sitting and watching me. And I gave it a try. It was very humiliating moment to realize that A, I really couldn't do it. B, that I actually came for an audition without knowing what is it for and what I was meant to do. So after trying really hard for good 2 or 3 minutes, which felt like forever, an eternity, I just got up and I told them, listen guys, I'm really sorry for wasting your time, but I think I'm not the right for this part. Goodbye. Luckily they were very understanding and they were very kind. They told me not to worry, next time. But I felt so embarrassed and ashamed. It was probably the only audition that I walked out from. But I wasn't really, I try not to be hard on myself. I just had a good laugh at myself and went on with my day.
So back in 2009, I applied for a degree in film directing. And because I was still in high school, I needed to do a 1-year foundation visual arts program before that. And so I found myself in the interview for that, and I showed them my portfolio, storyboards of films that I wanted to make. We did an interview, and then they asked me to draw something on the spot, which was horrifying because I couldn't draw and I still can't draw. They asked me to do my best, and I did my best, but the chair and the fruit did not look like a chair and some fruit. So they told me straight up that, I'm sorry, but I don't think you're ready for the course yet. Maybe you want to try again next year. And I was honest with them. I said, actually, I was kind of hoping to do a theater directing degree. And they said, oh, okay. They looked at my CV again, and they looked at my portfolio, and they said, oh, actually, I think perhaps maybe you'd be interested in the Performing Arts Foundation. That might make more sense for you. And I said, yes, that would actually make a lot more sense for me. So they scheduled me in for an audition in the next 2 or 3 days. And mind you, this was the first time I've ever auditioned for anything. I was nervous, but I just wanted to do my best, I showed up at the audition and I performed my monologue. And then the guy at the panel says, great, can we see your next monologue? And I said, oh, what? I'm sorry, but I thought we had to choose between the dramatic and the comedic. And he said, no, you're supposed to have done both. And I said, oh, okay, I'm very sorry, but Yeah, I didn't know that. But they were kind enough to just let me read the other monologue from the piece of paper. But at that point, I thought I'd do it. And then I left the audition thinking, okay, they're never gonna call me again. But then I get an email with an offer to start studying with them, and I was kind of blown away.
I have been pursuing performing arts for the past 3 years of my life. Kind of late in the game, but going for it nonetheless because I love it. And I've always been a much more stronger dancer, stronger actress, and I feel more confident going to those kinds of auditions. However, because it's performing arts, all-rounded, everything included, some jobs require you to sing. So I've gone to a lot of auditions where I've had to prepare a song and stand there and sing 16, 32, whatever bars they want me. And I can't really recall one audition where I've sung really well at all. And I've actually been to a lot of singing auditions. So what usually happens, I get there and I'm like, usually nail the outfit towards the character or the story or the style. I present myself in every way I can. But the minute I open my mouth, I'm off key, I'm off pitch, keys up and down, straining my voice, lack of breath, blah, blah, blah. And I walk away just going, well.
So there was a web series that was coming up, and I was contacted through a friend, and they said, I told them that I think you would be really good for this. And so I was pretty excited. I thought that meant that I was in for a good shot already. So the long story short was it was a web series. It was going to be filmed in Hong Kong, and the part was for a Western fitness trainer. And first red flag there, I had not worked out in a short while, and that's very difficult to fake. So I was already feeling a little bit insecure, so they were asking me, how much do you actually work out? Oh, I work out 3 or 4 times a week. That was just a flat out lie. I just embellished. I wasn't working out that much, but it was driven by this need to want to impress the director, and I think it just went flat from there. But also the thing that really put a nail in the coffin was that the other guys who were in the audition were fit, and they could prove it. They were doing martial arts, or they could demonstrate something. I had nothing to demonstrate. And so when it got to the point where I was asked, okay, was there anything that you do particularly well? I said, well, aside from working out and acting, I sing pretty well, thinking that they wouldn't ask me to sing anything because they were interested in fitness. And of course the director said, okay, well, let's hear it. I think that was one of the worst moments ever. I couldn't think of anything to sing. I hadn't sung in a while. I chose something from Phantom of the Opera, and that is not something worth going for if you haven't practiced in a while. I came out of that audition feeling particularly low, and of course they didn't even get back to me. What could I expect?
So my worst audition, or an audition that didn't maybe go so well, was the second audition I had for this particular part. The first audition was in their apartment and it was quite relaxed, and I felt not as nervous. And then the second audition, I was outside with all the other actresses and actors, and it was in a big studio. And when I went inside, I seen that they were sitting at desks and they had chairs, and that just really made me really nervous. And the space was a lot bigger, and they said, do you want to sit down and do it, or do the monologue? And I sat down and I couldn't breathe. I was like, and then I just said, no, I don't want to do this, and I left. So I think that wasn't exactly the best way to start or end an audition.
Cape Town is like the South African hub for international television shows and adverts. So, everyone sort of starting out on their acting career they go to Cape Town because that's where all the money is, supposedly. And that's what I did as well. And I packed my bags and I set out on a road to, you know, live the freelance life. And I got there, I got myself my very first agent, and they were lovely, they were very supportive. And the day after I signed with them, I got a brief for a casting, request casting, which is great because request castings are rare, and request castings mean that they are looking for you or people that look like you specifically. So, you know, it's thinning out the pool. And the day of the casting, obviously I was nervous. There was no real script to learn. It was for an advert. All that the brief said was, look, you're gonna do some DIY stuff, and I didn't really know, you know, what it was for or what I was expected to do. But anyway, I put on my best blue shirt, the only blue shirt that I had, because it was the neatest shirt that I had at the time, and I put on my my neatest trousers, which was a pair of jeans. And I was just about to get into the car to drive off to the studio, the casting studio, and my button broke on my jeans. It just popped right off. And to be fair, those jeans were like a couple of years old at the time. Anyway, so I was freaking out because I didn't have any other pants to wear, especially not ones that were going to go with that particular shirt, and it was messing with my entire, it was a mess. Everything was ruined. So very quickly I had to find something to, you know, tie myself up with. And I found a little bit of wire, and I put that, and in the process the whole zip broke as well, and it was awful. But by the end of it, I'd sort of mended my trousers with a piece of wire and some zip ties, and got into the car and went to the audition. And they told me, all right, well, you have to do this and this and this and this, and I did that and that and that and that. And I thought, you know, this was horrible. It was just not working out. Everything was terrible. 2 days later, I got the call, and they said I had gotten the role. Which was great. It was fantastic. I was, you know, I felt very accomplished. This was my first role in my first advert. I was only going to do bigger and better things from there. Needless to say, I got 100 more no's after that before I came across anything else again. But still, it was a great feeling, and that's a feeling that everyone should hold on to, I feel. You know, through all of the rejection, hold on to the positivity of the one yes. It's really your only saving grace. Get a hobby outside of acting. Don't just stick to acting. Go do something else to take your mind off of things. Don't just sit around and wait for the people to call you. It'll drive you insane. Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself.
Process what you feel before the audition. So if you're feeling nervous and vulnerable, maybe think why that is. So for me, it was that I really wanted to work with the director and the producer, that this part meant a lot to me. And then I should have not, before I did the audition, I feel like you should acknowledge that. Well, if you're going to feel vulnerable, you may feel afraid. This might mean something to you. So acknowledge them, try to deal with them beforehand, and make your peace with that. And then I think that will help you go into the audition in a calmer mind frame.
The first thing you have to do is tell the truth, or at least don't lie. You know, you have to, and if it's the right work, if it's the right part for you, it will happen. If it's right for you at that time, and that's something that I have to remind myself of all the time. The right thing will come, and don't be dishonest.
It is embarrassing standing there in front of pretty important directors or whatever and not singing as well as other people can, or yeah, but I refuse to feel discouraged. Like, I have to keep going with it, you know? It's work, it's a job, it's an opportunity to be seen. Like, every audition counts. So, oh, and in fact, I actually got a lot of the singing gigs that I auditioned for anyway. But I think that's due to just how I presented myself in the audition and how I carried myself, even though I was singing like a dead bird. I still went for it. I still committed to it. I was in the moment. I usually like tried to dress appropriately. Like, I still found a way to make it engaging and entertaining, and that doesn't go unnoticed in an audition because they're trying to look for people who will fit in whatever they want. And so I think no matter what you're auditioning for, like dance, acting, singing, like, you can mess up. You mess up in auditions all the time. But if you keep this, and you keep entertaining, and you keep with it, you keep committing, your chances of getting the job are higher. So I hope that this encourages some people, and I'm gonna go practice some singing.
And over the years, I've been on the other side of the panel. I've been watching people audition for shows that I assistant directed, that I produced, or even directed myself. And what I can tell you is that what we are looking for in an audition is honesty and sincerity. First thing, of course, is that you've prepared to the best of your ability, and then we can see that. We can see if you're just kind of like winging it without even trying. But what we really want to see, we can see an honest person who's sincere in their craft, in their practice, and that's the kind of person that we want to work with. So as long as you're honest and sincere and you really are trying your best, you do have a chance. And best of luck for everyone.
Don't be too hard on yourself if you failed an audition or generally in life. It's an experience, so just take it in, take a note on what was wrong, what went wrong and why, and just move on. And yes, always read carefully audition notes and what you're auditioning for. That's all from me.